Why does Brandon sound like he's underwater?
No, he sounds fine.
I had something in my mouth. I was eating. I'm doing mukbang while we're doing this recording.
Hey, so what's going on, everybody out there? Finally, the couple of Hams boys are now on video. You can actually see us, and Derek looks like a jackass, so you know what I mean when I'm talking about it. Brandon's munching away, which is awesome. So we this will be a short abridged episode, but you can obviously see it what you're doing right now, or the audio will be up on the channels as usual. And guys, how are we holding up on day? I don't even remember, day 25 of quarantine.
Yeah, it's almost a month at this point. It's crazy.
So like day 34.
More than a month at this point. I thought it was like 30.
I think for the official mandates and stuff, I think it's just about a month.
Okay.
So there you go. Day 30. Day 32, maybe.
Dude, I bet I could do prison easy. With the way this is going,
dude,
I can easily commit.
Nobody's trying to rape your butthole in this quarantine, dog. Like,
nah, it's fucking brutal. I think I'm getting better though as time's progressing. I at first was kind of freaking out, but now I'm kind of enjoying like not going out, not spending money, doing things around the house that I needed to do, clean, cook, anything like that. I actually cut my fucking hand open. I don't know if you guys can see.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say I finally cut my nails. I was gonna be like, holy shit, look at you. Anyway,
but yeah, so I think I'm holding up pretty decently. How are you guys holding up?
Dude, once I got WWE Network, I'm fine. I've gone from 1990 and I'm in 2000 right now, like August of 2000, SummerSlam.
So you're literally just powering through.
Just burning through them, yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the thing too, though, is like that's something that because you've seen it already, it can definitely be like a background thing. So you could be doing shit and then have that on and be like cutting to it every so often and like actually paying attention. But it's like something you can listen to too. I mean, that's basically like that's all I do with YouTube now, just watching information on like movie breakdowns, like how they made stuff, how they filmed stuff. Like you could just put all that shit on in the background while you're doing other shit, and you can just be picking up information at the same time. Like, so that's how I'm occupying a lot of my time. It's just, I can't do anything else, I can go out for a walk. That's it.
They're going to outlaw that eventually too. Watch. Stay in your fucking house.
No, I mean, unless this thing gets super toxic airborne, like, they're not going to keep people from like doing things. But what I did see, I saw some pictures of Venice Beach, the skate park there. And there's a few other ones in like San Clemente and stuff. They filled them with sand. So people can't go into them, which is like, it sucks because that would be like a good activity if it was enough people where you could keep the distance, you could still do something that you really like, but it just sucks now that like, because a bunch of people would go there.
Right. And Muscle Beach and all that. That's what they should do. They should just put a giant mound of sand on Muscle Beach and just be like, closed forever, fuckers.
Closed for the duration of the virus. Not forever.
So I guess I want to do some like random quick topics then. One of my favorites and debate stuff is baseball players are fighting against the fact that they would be away for 4 months from their family. They are upset that is the solution for baseball to come back. They would play in Arizona and they would test everybody.
Right.
They would stay in the same hotels. They would be fed by the same people. They would basically be on a summer camp for 4 months away from family and everybody until it's like safe for them to go back to parks. But that might not happen. Gatherings may not happen for the rest of this year is what I understand. Like big gatherings. So
I was hearing shit like with the NFL like that too, like how they want to run the season and have nobody show up to the game. And I'm just like, I don't even know how that's going to work because that's part of the game. Like the fans there, I mean, it's not just the money-making aspect. It's the rallies. It's the cheers from the crowd. It's the reaction. That shit like amps up players too while they're playing, I mean, it's crazy.
The one thing that changed that though And God bless wrestling. The WrestleMania changed a lot of owners' ideas of not having fans around. They're like, if these idiots can still celebrate and do their stupid entrances and come to the ring and perform, then shit, we actually could get real stuff done and fulfill our TV contracts.
Well, actually, there's two things about that. Did you guys hear that Florida, I guess, made wrestling it's considered an essential work? They're essential employees. Did you guys hear about that in Florida?
Yeah, because that's where their training facility is. That's where they filmed WrestleMania.
Right. So, I mean, what was your guys' take on WrestleMania with no audience? I mean, do you think that you could do that with baseball? Do you think you can do that with football? Do you think
South Korea is doing it with baseball right now?
I think for watching as a person not at the game, like, yeah, you could watch it on TV and it wouldn't make that much of a difference. But I think part of the game to the players is the fact that they have the audience.
Right.
You know? So that's kind of a big difference in like how you're playing the game. You might not be as into the game because you don't have any nerves because you're just fucking playing another team. You know, it's not like when you go into another city's ballpark, like, you know that you're going to get the boos from the crowd and you know that there's going to be that shit and like that amps you up, you know? Like there's baseball players that had stories like what's the one, Max, that you bring up about how you went to whatever and fucking smashed like some home runs and shit in their face and they ended up winning like it was like a walk-off or something.
There's been multiple cases of that, but it's
but I mean
like Derek Jeter and Kobe Bryant always say they loved playing on the road because they loved disappointing those fans. Okay. And they loved the fact that it would be super quiet. They loved the silence of it, that they would go into an arena and it would be really quiet, or a baseball park and you get that big hit or that big shot and everyone just shuts the fuck up. It's like one of the best things to do. But I think when you look at what South Korea's done, and I've watched a couple of games, and it's like, it's fine because baseball is very like individualistic and it moves at a slow pace. I think football might be the interesting one just because that crowd gets so loud and the noise level. You know, like when you play in New Orleans or Indianapolis, like these inside places, Seattle, which has like a ridiculous structure that just funnels sound in too much. Like that's going to be weird. That's going to be weird when you can hear these people actually calling out plays and calling audibles. And I think that's good. I think I want to be able to hear a defensive lineman saying, "I'm going to eat your mom for dinner," something like that, you know? Like, I think it'd be fun.
Omaha.
But I don't, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you think that, okay, so you guys remember net neutrality, where everything was going to move to like a subscription based?
The end of net neutrality, yeah.
Well, the end of net neutrality, yeah. This was kind of like a forced end of net neutrality, if you think about it, because in order to make up all the ticket sales that they're missing out on, I mean, I guarantee you there's going to have teams that are going to pay a subscription service, you know? You can watch every single Dodger game for the year for this price. Well, you can watch every single football game for this price. And what they can do is like a thing, like a deal where, let's say you want to pay for the whole 49ers. If they go to the postseason, you get all that for free, you know?
So to go back on that point, you can get your local market games for free. You have to pay a subscription to get every out-of-market game anyway, like the Sunday Ticket or MLB Extra Innings or, you know, Face Off or whatever it's called. But, like, the thing is that they have TV contracts for their local regional broadcasting. They have TV contracts that they have to fulfill. So that's one of the harder things because everyone's like, oh, the NBA should just start right back up into the playoffs. And it's like, no, we have like 20 more games to fulfill per our regional sports broadcasting contract.
Right.
And so as long as you're televising the games, I'm okay with that. And you got to just get that done somehow, some way. On the other side of it, being a big baseball fan that I am, and baseball got us through the Great Depression, it got us through World War II, like make baseball come back again and be something that's live and something we watch. Like if I was the commissioner of baseball, I'd be on the phone every single day to the players union rep, which is Tony Clark, every single day and being like, dude, how do we get this done? And we're also going to be the only sport on television. Oh my God. Like you can't, this is such a great time to bring it back in a marketing standpoint. Like Oh my God! And we also have the best looking players on any sport. Let's go. Let's go right now. Let's get your girlfriend involved so she could turn off her Bachelor in Paradise bullshit and fucking like get this going. You know?
Yeah, it's definitely going to change the games up and the sport itself. If you can't hear the fans and you're able to hear the other people, you know.
Have you ever watched a spring training game? They're pretty dead. Like there's not much going on.
Yeah,
Everyone's
but I mean,
kind of just drunk.
I think part of it too is just that factor though, that like spring training, it's more of just like practice, you know, it's kind of just like the warm up. But then when it comes to season, like I think a lot of the big motivation too with people with the season stuff is the betting that goes on with it.
Yes.
And then everything that's in conjunction with that. So bringing it back and giving it some sort of ability to do that, I think would have a big positive effect. But I just don't know, like, I mean, it's worth a shot to try it. I'd be totally interested in the fact that they should just try it out because fuck it, this is like the first time you're going to get this opportunity and to actually test out a new model under a forced situation, you know? Like, it's not like you can do too much about it. So it's almost an excuse to try something new, which I think is fine and good. But I just think that there is a difference in it, and there will be a new way of looking at it, and the fact that you can't go out to a ball game and you can't have that like experience and time at the moment. You know, this is like, that's the thing is I've heard people say like about things going back to normal. There is no new normal, like, or there is no normal now. It's a new normal. We're in a new thing of how we have to do things. That's like, you know, how you were saying, Derek, like you like that you weren't going out as much and you had to adjust your life a little bit on things that you did. That's how everybody is right now. And it's like, that's fine because now these are new opportunities that things can be done. People can do shit, you know, like something different.
Well, let me ask you this, because I've been following this a lot. There's like 70 companies now that are doing research on vaccines. Let's just say they came out with a vaccine within 2 to 3 months. I mean, do you think now that if you could get everyone vaccinated where they wouldn't be suffering from this, do you think people would still go out to bars and games and everything? Or do you think that people would still have that fear of, oh, there might be something out there that will kill me or could potentially kill me or my family?
I think the fear of
both of you guys.
I think the fear of being sick and getting sick is going to still be there. There's going to be hesitancy. You're going to have like a couple things that'll boost out. Like once everybody can go out to a bar or whatever, because everybody's going to want to get fucking laid. And then you're going to have a whole bunch of other boosts in coronavirus just because of that one event. And then everybody will be like, okay, yeah, we can't go crazy if we're still dealing with this. And on top of it too, like in your hypothetical with the vaccination, is this like a vaccination that is tested already and it's proven to work and have very little effect? Or are you just talking about the fact that there's so many companies that can potentially make something? It's a crapshoot, and you just have to try whatever and see if one of them works.
So
like, what do you mean in the hypothetical?
So I'm glad that you kind of brought it like that. So from I can't even name all 70, but supposedly there's 70 companies right now that are working on a vaccination, right? The way they're doing this is obviously they're not all in the United States. We have a huge it's very time consuming for us to patent and get a vaccination and human trials after animal trials and everything like that. There are certain other countries though that are more lenient. So if they were to able to come up with one and say, hey, this is going to cure you, but it's not, you know, it's not meeting all regulations that the United States meets, would you still take it? I'm sure you'd probably have a huge amount of people taking it, you know, and especially if you could prove that it worked, you know. The biggest thing is you don't know what the side effects are, so there's going to be a lot of guinea pigs all at once. But if you could provide people this safety, this security that, hey, I could take this vaccination and I can go back out and do things regularly with my life. I won't have the virus anymore. Or if I do get the virus, my body's just going to, you know, it's going to do nothing to my body. I definitely see that being a popular choice by a lot of people. But, I mean, at what point would you do it? You know, would you do it with no testing of side effects, or would you say, fuck this, and I'd rather just take my chances?
Yeah. I mean, and that is kind of the interesting. I mean, again, this is a time where a lot of stuff is forced. So it's kind of like solutions have to be figured out, attempts at things have to, I mean, they brought it up with like the change in businesses and letting people go. This is now a way for corporate business and restaurant industry to reassess what their potential staff volume need to be, because a lot of places they'll hire a bunch of people, but they're going off of specific numbers. But depending on like, because I guess BJ's has been super busy with takeout, and like we even had one person quit amongst the fact that they were getting the takeout shifts because it's just like they have to do so much additional work now and they're just getting paid the same thing, and there's nothing really increased about like their job protection with working that job. And that's the thing is like that's a new way for businesses to see what they can get away with when they adjust their business now. And I think that that's going to be a big factor with getting back into the economy, with reintroducing things. It's obviously has to be slow, but since you had so many people go on unemployment now, the hiring rate is going to be slower because businesses, again, are going to still have that kind of thing of we've reassessed how much we want to do with our budget and with our cost. And then on top of it, you're going to have people that are still also like, I don't want to hire a bunch of new people because I don't want to hire maybe like 5 people and then 4 of them have the fucking coronavirus and then we all get fucking sick. There's people don't have bills of like health, we can't, I mean, they're probably going to start doing shit like that for hiring people. Like once the testing and stuff and once the verification process gets better, they're probably going to give this to people just so that they can go work in places. Like, because how the fuck can you verify this with anything, like that's the world that we're going into now. It is going to be a completely different one. Like it's just really interesting. And I think now is that time where, yeah, you just have to make the appropriate risk versus reward on testing new methods of doing things, just because you're trying to keep the business afloat. But at the same time, like you have to have some apprehension about how you go about things now, like at least as far as our awareness on this specific thing. I mean, I don't know, like it's a pro and con type thing,
So actually I have a question for both of you, because I've been noticing that this is becoming a regular trend. There's a lot of talks right now with microchipping people.
Well, I mean, I see a lot of
people take on that
are on the conspiracy
Max
side.
would fucking be down to get microchipped.
I see a lot of people on the conspiracy side talking about that. I haven't seen anything as far as from government or any science fields that are posting anything on this. So if you do have that you're reading, like, yeah, you can send it to me. But I've been seeing the shit on microchipping for fucking since Obama got into office, and they didn't microchip anybody then. We've been microchipping animals for how long? And nobody seems to give a shit about that.
Well,
if you're walking your dog, they don't need to microchip you. They just microchip your dog, and they know where you are.
That's true, but you're not always going to be with your dog too,
Right.
Now they're actually putting.
All they got to do is know when you're walking your dog, and then they can just get you when you're walking your dog.
Right. Would you guys get a microchip though? If it like could tell your vital signs, if it could pick up on possible cancers, if it acted as a credit card where you just wave your hand and you could pay for stuff, would you guys do it?
I could see the benefit in that type of thing, but I could also see the argument of why people would be afraid of that too, where they're afraid that like the microchip could also contain some little compartment to release cyanide. And then if you were a big protester and the government wanted to get rid of you, they just hit that button and boop, release that cyanide and fucking take you out, I mean, I can see the arguments that people want to make, but I just think that it's kind of like you have to assess like what is really the benefit. I mean, how am I going to be able to tell my vitals by plugging into a machine, or I still have to go to a doctor? If I still have to go to a doctor, there's no real need for the microchip to have all my vitals because the doctor could do that. You know what I mean? Like,
well, the microchip would read your body in the sense that if something were to break a certain threshold, it would send an alert. Hey, this person could potentially have cancer. This person could potentially have heart disease. This person could potentially have this.
And what, like your email like updates it? It's like, exactly. Hey, you got cancer, bud.
Well, that's the thing. It sends it directly to your doctor, and then it also sends it to your insurance companies. So you get billed accordingly on your insurance. Now, my biggest thing is I used to be a huge conspiracy theorist. I still kind of am, as you guys know. But if somebody yields that power that they can monitor your vitals and monitor everything like that, even if you don't have it, they'll kill you. They'll find you in no time. They'll kill you in no time. It's the same argument with guns. Everyone's like, oh, they're taking my guns away. It's like, you realize they have fucking drones, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna shoot at them with your handgun while they just fly a plane over and just bomb like your whole neighborhood, and then goodbye. You know, it makes zero fucking sense. I understand the idea, the concept behind it, but the technology nowadays is just it's so beyond the fucking Constitution. It's so beyond everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, and a big part of that is the fact that a lot of these advancements, while they have come in the private sector, which is an argument for the private sector, there's also a lot of non-regulation when it comes to the decision making of the private sector. So you're going to have a lot of these groups that are adhering to like certifications and stuff like that. But what is it going to be where they have a fucking facility set up somewhere to just do whatever they wanted to do, and they have the funding and ability to do it? Like, if they want to develop something, they can develop something. It's the same thing with a criminal having a gun. If they want to commit a crime and get a gun, they're going to do it. It's the same thing with these companies. I don't know why people think that because they adhere to, like safety certification and shit like that, that like that's all the government regulation that they need. The fact is these advancements. I mean, here's the perfect example of why private contractors shouldn't be the ones developing any sort of situation when it comes to technology. If everybody's so concerned with 5G being the cause of this virus or sparking this virus in people, well, then you can't have random private sector people developing 5G. It has to be on something that you can fucking regulate and understand the effects of, right? I mean, that's the thing is these arguments that people make, they don't line up because they don't do enough like overall thinking about what the fuck they're talking about. I don't know. I mean, technology is great, but yeah, we clearly see that it develops so quickly and so rapidly, and at the expense of who? Everybody that's affected by the new change of technology, Now a bunch of people are going to be out of jobs because you automated everything too fast. Now you're going to fucking eliminate other people having certain things because you come up with this thing. Like, if you're moving that fast for the private sector and the regulation isn't about understanding its actual effect into society, but rather we just regulate them so that they have to follow certain rules, but they can literally do whatever they want when it comes to the money and the value of everything that they want to figure out. That's not going to help anybody either, Like, you're still just having things that are making things that could be potentially trashing everything, and people are making profits off of it, and there's no, like, real understanding on how to actually incorporate it into society and do it properly, because you're not having the overall effect be taken into consideration. It's just, well, this is a business, it makes money, It's the same thing with microchipping. That's why they would probably be down for people to get microchipped, because some private sector fucking company is going to make a shitload of money because it happens.
Well,
not because the government is doing it.
Max, you were shaking your head on the microchipping. Go ahead, let's hear your take on this, because I am down to hear your fucking take on this.
I just feel that conspiracy theorists, first of all, these are people that also believe that Bret Hart was in on the Montreal screw job, which he was not. So
he was.
No, he wasn't.
How dare you?
I'm talking.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Secondly, microchipping or any sort of advancement technology, Brandon's right. We didn't regulate how blue light would affect people's sleep patterns or their mood and add to societal depression, which it has. It's shown that dopamine has been in effect with Facebook since the beginning. That's become a big thing, and why people are, so socially anxious now is because of their dopamine withdrawal through these social media constructs. And then the other thing to really think about is going forward with these technology companies and the kind of loopholes that they've put themselves in as private companies and being able to be hacked and, have information sent to Russia and all this stuff like that. And they're like, hey, not our bad. We just made the platform. Like, we didn't, nothing against anybody else. We just made the platform, and they were able to get off scot-free. We moved too quickly ahead. But we see that now. When things came out at the time, we were like, fuck yeah, dude, hell yeah, this is really cool, Facebook became hookup book, and then Instagram became, sliding into your DMs, and then people are all over Tinder and Hinge right now. It just goes to show that people will follow, like moths to a flame, and that's okay. You just got to rise above that kind of average bear syndrome, And then as far as microchipping goes, I think, there's freedom is not really freedom, and there's a cost to it. So, for kids that go, kidnappings would go down, child abductions would go down. A lot of that stuff would go to the wayside. If you wanted to solve a murder and someone had their alibi, that would go kind of away because your microchip shows you were at, Harry's pub where the guy throat was slit, and you're telling me that you were in the bed of your mistress. But meanwhile, her microchip was in the bed of someone else. So it's like, that would help police solve cases quickly. So yeah, this 50-50, man, like, people are going to do what they're going to do, but if you put the consequences in front of them, like it's going to change a lot of perspective on that, and you won't have a lot of fraud. Fraud would be really tough unless someone can hack the microchips, which is always the case, could always be a thing.
I was going to say, as technology gets better, I just want to interject on this real quick. As technology gets better, it always seems like the level of fraud like intensifies completely. As technology gets better, you can fucking raid more people's bank accounts. Sorry, I continue.
Well, it's because the bank accounts have been relegated to just being numbers now. That's why,
Well, it's all a code, yeah.
But even in the fact of like, you look at like the monetary value of things in something like a stock market. Like you can't particularly hack a stock market, but the fact is there's only a certain amount of stuff that actually has the actual value that we would consider of something that at a time when fraud wasn't happening, like when you had to go in the Wild West, when you had to go to the local bank, what the fraud was? It was bank robbers. And the whole town would try and kill these motherfuckers because that was all of their shit. That was fraud prevention. But now when all of your stuff is done where it's like not you physically having to turn in money, but you get a paid check that has a value that gets redeemed, this is where fraud will become more prevalent because there's more opportunities for something to be fake or something to be forged or something to be changed or hacked. It's not physical. So it's not even just the technology aspect. It's the fact that when you change the way that the monetary system is representative of everything, you just increase fraud. That's why, like, when I talked about, the debt, like, isn't going away anywhere. Like, everybody's still concerned about trying to, like, devalue things with too much value, but it's almost to the point where it's like, when are we going to get back to zero on anything? We're not. Like, it's just not happening. We're just moving forward at this point. This is why the arguments for people looking at more, like, classless societies and stuff like that becomes more of the talking conversation, because when you're actually just deeming technology as being tools as opposed to profit-making things, then technology becomes accessible to everybody. So then everybody starts to be able to use things. So then everybody starts to work on things. Go ahead.
What I was going to say is it becomes more like Star Trek. It becomes more of a search for what's beyond our solar system and the benefit of mankind and the benefit of humanity moving forward as a species and being more intelligent and more tolerable or tolerating of other societies and just growing. That's what happens. That's why there's no money in the 24th century. It takes people to learn and grow. But I'm with Brandon in that the fact that, like, we keep talking about the debt and we keep talking about trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars being spent. They're just like, when at a point it just becomes numbers. Yeah. Like who's really going to knock on our door, on the United States door, and be like, hey buddy, got to collect that IOU, you know what I mean? Like, hey, this is the Chinese collection service. How you doing, Mr. Trump? Like, you haven't responded to our phone calls. Like, it's not gonna fucking happen. It's funny money. It's stupid.
So my biggest thing is exactly like you said, and I think I brought this up on the podcast, and I've definitely talked to you guys about it. The biggest thing that we can't do is, it's all fake money. We can't keep selling our land though to foreigners. I'm sorry. And some people might call me a bigot, a racist, but I disagree with that. Go ahead.
So I can interject with that because I was with, I know we go back and forth on Mr. Bill Maher and stuff, but he was pretty much right on point about China And you're not being racist. You're not being a bigot. This virus came from there. So did a couple of other viruses, because there's these farmers markets from hell where you can eat rat and eat bat as a delicacy. Not because you have to, but because it's something exotic and cool to do. And so none of that stuff gets regulated. None of that stuff gets tested. None of that stuff, you have these centers for disease control people that are out there as staff to kind of check what things are and to kind of give it like a Geiger counter on like potential diseases or
maybe grab some
bacteria that
lunch
can
too.
come from these things. But like at the end of the day, I've always said this: we don't check foreign money. When money comes here in the United States, and I'm a person from China, and I've got all this cash from my fake numbers, but maybe my friend worked it for the government and just did that so he can get himself over here. When I buy that big ass house in Arcadia or that big ass McMansion here in Baldwin Park at the side ray or whatever, we don't check where the money came from. We don't verify that that person actually had that money. We just pretend we're actually okay with it because with the real estate agents, it's like, fuck yeah, I just got paid. And it's kind of what ended up happening with the 2008 crash, is that people just gave loans out like nobody's business. The difference now is people are giving you straight cold hard cash, but we're not tracing back to where that cash is actually coming from. If it's actually valid from Germany or Serbia or China or Korea, like, do you actually have that cash? Is it actually there? Or did a friend help you out and put that magical number in there for you to be able to buy that place and eventually get that friend over with you as well to live out the American dream, which everyone wants. I get it. Everyone's entitled to that. But at what cost? Because we get so fucking greedy, it just flips everything around. That's my biggest concern. It's been my concern for the last 6 years.
And I just want to go into this real quick. I had a marketing class, and I had a student there from China, and he was part of my group, and he would always joke around, and I think I've probably told you guys this a million times, but he would always joke around that his dad would tell him that in China you have 3 books. You have 1 book for the government, 1 book for your business partners, and 1 book for yourself. So you can literally fudge the numbers all you want. And then, I mean, I don't know, like, again, I'm going to sound like a bigot. I'm going to sound like a racist on this, but I'm wholeheartedly agreeing with China manipulated a lot of things. I think they fucked up the news. And at this point, honestly, I am a strong proponent to not even selling them land at this point. Like, go ahead.
So what I was saying with that is it's not just them. It's not just them either. It's Serbia, it's Russia, it's some people in Germany. I mean, there's a lot of people, foreign money, like that are just coming in here, and it's our fault because we don't have anything in place to go and double check that money is legit to be currency exchanged here. We don't. We just have an arbitrary number that people go, oh, that's what's in your account over there. That person at that bank just cleared you for it. And you notice that we Mexican people did it too, but like we didn't have money. We didn't have money. We just brought our friends over here because we knew the path to cut across the fields. Like, that's different than actually being like, I'm a New York tycoon and I got all this money and I'm bringing all my family from Serbia here or whatever. Like, it's different. It's money. It's economic manipulation, which is going on right now, which nobody seems to talk about. Nobody seems to double check because on our end, we're greedy, we're selfish, and all these real estate guys are like, we're getting paid, and that's all they care about. It's the new scam, and that's what's crippling the economy, really. So that's my opinion.
So I was going to ask both of you, so obviously, as we know, there was $2 trillion that was paid out to everybody. Pretty much, I'm sure all of us got the $1,200, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The small business loan that all the businesses could apply for, that was like $390 billion or $380 billion. That was gone in 13 days. We've added $2 trillion to the deficit. I think we're at 22, 23 trillion now in the hole right now, and we're 24, and we're keep going up. Where do you guys see this going at this point? You guys see us ever possibly turning that number down, or is
well, I just don't see how you can. I mean, like, I think like if the whole new system that we have now is about adding money in to counteract things that are happening, when realistically, to let things happen and let things fall would be the actual real decision. But we don't do that.
Like let capitalism run its course?
Well, I mean, everybody argues for it. Why don't you argue for it all the way through?
Yeah.
I mean, that like it's again the reason why these numbers also get big is because there are certain institutions like Joe Blow that goes and opens up a fucking spaghetti restaurant. Government ain't bailing his ass out to fucking help him keep his business afloat.
Spaghetti goes.
Like I mean, that's the thing is there are tons of businesses that have hemorrhages in the system, file for bankruptcy because like everything like that, all that shit happens in a certain way and these people's lives aren't ruined, but definitely like the value of things that they have or whatever, like how I don't know everything about how filing bankruptcy and then how it all works, but basically it's kind of like a mark on your thing where you're like, it that goes into further investment records and people like looking shit up, like they know that you had to like they can see that there could potentially be a business risk.
It affects your credit score, right?
Right. So the thing is overall, like in that situation, we've made these businesses and these establishments so big and so powerful that now we just give them money that adds to the debt. And instead of letting them fall and then letting things have to reassess value, now other banks that didn't fall, maybe their shit's more valuable because there's one less fucking bank. Now, essentially, what you're doing is you're allowing capitalism to work the way that it fucking supposed to, right? When you start changing the rules for things that you've built up because those empires wanted to be built by people that wanted tons and tons of wealth and money, and that was their sole focus to make this thing. Like, do you really think the guys that established these banking situations were really like, I just want to make sure that every American has a place to go to get their money and it's all safe? Or did they think, what would be a great way to hold on to people's money and charge them money for it? We can make it like money out of it. Like, I don't think they did it in the humanitarian way. I think they did it to fucking make money. It was a scam. It's all of this shit is set up initially as a scam. It's how can we take advantage of the current situation and use that to our benefit? Like, when is it not when it comes to this stuff? I don't know. Like, maybe I'm wrong, but to me, it just seems that in that type of situation, you can't just let people take over everything and then also give them passes when they do fucked up shit that costs a lot of other people fucking money. Like, you have to let things take their due course.
Yeah. Well, there's a quote from Freaks and Geeks. You remember that where it's everyone's a Democrat until you have money?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like everyone's a socialist when they fucking lose all their money, right? In a sense, because everyone right now is losing their money. They have no problem taking handouts. They have no problem printing this money.
I don't think everybody's going socialist.
No, well, the thing is everyone kind of wants like some sort of payment, I would say, in order to kind of stabilize themselves. And don't get me wrong, I honestly do not have the answer to all of this.
Right, neither do I. Yeah.
And printing money, I feel like is only going to screw people later on in life. I mean, look at 2008, 2009. That did nothing but create more millionaires and more billionaires, and it realistically didn't do anything for the middle class. And I'll debate anybody on that. No problem.
You're exactly.
Well, that was the point, though.
You're 100% right with that.
Yeah.
It didn't do anything. It crippled us more, if anything, going forward, and led to what we're at now. And we've always talked, or at least I've always talked about that. Society for the way society and technology have grown so quickly over the last, I'm gonna go with 40 years, that we need to start inching closer to a more communistic socialism society. And when people go communism, they get frightened, they get scared, and it's like, well, you want to know something about that? Why are a bunch of fucking assholes buying all this toilet paper and paper towels and all that stuff? I need to regulate your ass on how much you can consume. I really do, because you're abusing it. You've abused it all over.
Well, you abuse it for capitalism because you're trying to profit off of it.
Well, no, some people just want to know that they can wipe their ass for the rest of the year.
When did anybody ever buy enough toilet paper to last them like a whole year, dude? Come on, that's a shit argument. That's a lie.
No, I'm saying legitimately, it's fucking weird because you have people who are scared that they can't wipe their ass in in the apocalypse and shit, and it's like, dude,
well, no, the fear
if
is
you're worried
that
about your ass at
if you
this
can't
point,
leave
like,
your
that's
house,
the least of
then
your worries.
Look, I just need this. The people freak out for communism, but communism is more regulation. There's a lot of rules and regulation that need to be put into place, not just for how much a customer can consume, but also who creates the product. I mean, if you want to look at like big farm, and I'm not talking about pharma, not pharmaceuticals, I'm talking about farming, like meat production and chickens and cows and all that stuff, and how the lobbyists and the corporate bigots have fucking switched that thing around to where the farmers are getting fucked constantly. And that's what needs to change. But that's what everyone turns a blind eye to that. They don't think about it. And then they go,
well, I mean,
you're fucking up my freedom. And it's like, dude, we need to, we're growing so fast. Our population's so big nowadays. Like, we need to take care of each other. And to your question, Brandon, is this debt going to ever go down? What's going to happen one day is maybe I hope that we do get to a Star Trek society where we just want to explore the stars and do better for mankind. Guess what's going to happen to that debt? Forgiven. Bye. Yeah. It's okay. Remember when we had that debt? Who cares?
Well, I think that's the point is it's just to a certain level where when's it going to just make sense that for the goal of people like on the planet, it should be to create like a system of sustainability. Like we should understand that, advancing things in the way that we do and creating these divisions in society and in class, it's only kind of really led to making a bigger and bigger disconnect between people, because you have people that are not even really affected by this type of current situation in society. Like they live in a huge mansion. Granted, they earned whatever they earned. Let's just give that as the general basis. They earn whatever they earned, but they have enough space and like room and everything to be able to sustain themselves. They have the money to be able to purchase any sort of like goods that they want to purchase, anything like that. Like they can do it all, had to have it shipped and everything. They can live just fine in a toxic time when there's a lot of shit going on. And then there's other people that don't have any means, they don't have any ability, they haven't been able to have anything sustained for them because they're always just getting by. And in that type of situation, what do we think is going to happen from that? Like only the best are going to be the ones that survive it? No, the potential risk for anybody being killed in that situation or things getting worse is extremely high, So it's like, how do you get that out of society overall? Well, you have to start making, I guess, quote unquote, sacrifices. It's not sacrifice of like, taking people's stuff specifically when it comes to their private property, their personal property. Excuse me, that's the confusion, like, because it's an interesting point that I heard, but it's like your personal property is what will not be seized in a sort of like socialist or communistic, like, kind of movement in that type of society. But the private property, which is like the business, the factory with all the machines and everything like that, that's what would be seized, because then it would be redistributed as far as for allocation of possession for all of the people that participate in that type of system. Like, this is the explanation that I've heard. And I always thought it was kind of interesting because people seem to think that like, if you have like a mom and pop shop, like they're going to come take your business away from you. That's not really what would particularly be happening in that, because you're not a business that would basically relegate an entire workforce to do a bunch of shit for you while you sat above the top. Like a mom and pop business is generally the person that owns the business is also working hand in hand with a lot of the people as well, up until a point when they get more sustained situation. But again, it's like the whole argument is when you spread the situation so that people's work ethic is based upon them actually having value of the work that they do, and they actually receive value from it, that's a better system to design than one to just have people where they have to take jobs that are justified at the lowest amount of pay that they can get, because that's just what the boss is going to justify as the cost. Because then what you do is you create a trend of every place now adhering to that policy or that idea of what you can pay as a wage, and then everybody doing that, and now you're creating a disparity between the people that are actually doing all of the labor and the people that just set up the ability to do the labor. Like, I think that's the problem is when you create a society that it creates more and more ability for things to just get further and further apart, you're not going to have good results. Some people are going to do well, but overall, you're not going to have good results. You're going to create a lot of disdain and a lot of distrust between different pieces of the classes because, I mean, why do you think poor people don't trust rich people? Because poor people think that rich people take all the shit. You know, why do you think rich people don't trust poor people? Because they think poor people commit all the crime. I mean,
we're gonna take their shit.
Right. And that's the thing is when the more you level that out, like you can eliminate those problems in the long run. You know, like that's kind of the idea. I ranted for a while, so
we're stressed for time here.
I was actually gonna ask.
What would you want to say to people at the end? We got like 2 or 3 minutes here.
To who's this to?
We're signing off, buddy, because we can't record past 40 minutes.
No, I got that. Oh, I thought you had it directed towards Brandon or myself.
Well, yes. Sign off. Hurry up. The clock's ticking.
Okay. I just want to say congratulations, gentlemen, on our first video podcast. I think this was a great one. It was very there's a lot of debates on there. There's a lot of questions that open up. I know I still have more questions. I definitely want to try and do this more often if you guys are open for that. It is making things easier. And remember, we are quarantining, so we are being, good citizens.
Where'd you get that beer?
What?
Where'd you get that beer?
So I just want to take the time. This podcast is sponsored by Michelob Ultra. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. That's all I got.
If you want to go golfing, that's your beer.
What?
If you want to go golfing, that's your beer.
I'll be sure to tag them in the Insta post. I'll be sure to tag them that this episode was brought to you by Michelob.
Yes. That's all I got, though. I don't know. You got anything else, gentlemen?
Well, I would say if people have more time during the week, we can actually do this more consistently than every Sunday. Just with the fact that we can't really leave, we could do this more often during the week if you wanted to.
I'm open for it. I mean,
yeah, I say we do a couple of topics during the week, and we spit about them for 30, 40 minutes here and there.
Yeah, we'll try and make it where we can maybe make the format one specific topic of maybe some conversations that we've had before. Keep it on that. That way we don't have to do like, oh, how we doing and everything. We can save time on that. And then basically get to that point where Sunday we can kind of do like a weekly recap of that's like how our week's been going and everything like that. That way we can kind of make working topics through the week and then Sunday's more of our catch-up day. That makes sense?
I would
try it. I'm bored right now.
I would say let's do something. Let's all watch Mortal Kombat. It's on Netflix, and let's do a critique on it in the week.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Wait, Mortal Kombat with the original one?
Yeah, I assume. He didn't say Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I did not.
That movie should have won Best Picture. No, I'm just kidding.
We should do that because with the video stuff, I can clip in some funny shit. So let's do that. Let's do Mortal
perfect.
Kombat. And let me know when you guys have watched it. Maybe we can do one on Thursday or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do like Tuesday, Thursday, and then Sunday or something like that, start a schedule like that, we could do something like that. I'm cool.
All right, let's shoot for Thursday so I can trust you guys.
Thursday's plenty of time.
Cool. All right, I'm going to watch it and I'm going to take notes. That way I can specifically craft an argument.
I'm just going to watch it and enjoy it.
So. And I will do that as well.
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
All right, gentlemen.
We love you.
Right, well, stay safe, guys. Everybody else that catches this, stay safe as well.
Stay safe. Stay at home. That's all I got. It was supposed to end already.
Bye.